Well, hey, Sarah.
Hi, Pastor Rob.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This should be fun.
It will be fun. And for everyone that's watching, what we're doing is a series of kind of just getting to know each other interviews with the staff. We'll do this with other people as well as we kind of get the hang of this. But right now we're just going through the staff so the community and people who don't live here in Rochester can get to know who our staff is. So glad you're here. Sarah is very nervous, by the way. If this isn't coming off on camera... There it is. See, the nervous laughs are going to happen. We're going to look for them, and I actually encourage you to get a scorecard out and start keeping score of how many times she gets kind of a nervous laugh. You have one already.
Great. Just, inching outside of my box. Here we go.
There we go. All right. So just a few questions. We're going to start just really basic because people don't know. There are people who don't know who you are, believe it or not.
Shocker.
Yes, exactly. So your name, what is your job here at Zumbro, and how long have you worked here?
Yep. So my name is Sarah Lichty, and I am the business manager here. I wear a couple different hats. I'm also kind of the director of mission and oversee our open table ministry, our mobile food truck ministry. So I make sure that the money gets deposited, I make sure that our bills get paid, and I make sure that everybody kind of has a sense of what's going on from a financial standpoint. And I also make sure that we continue that mission of open table, serving our neighbors here in Southeast Rochester.
And we do love the fact that you make sure that we get paid.
Everybody enjoys that.
We do. That's
how I make friends.
I hope it's more than that. Come on. So a couple other questions just to kind of get to know more about you and the job. What do you love most about your job at Zumbro?
I actually enjoy the fact that I wear different hats. It gives me a nice opportunity to, if I get a little tired or too entrenched in something, I can switch hats and kind of take a walk around and do something else for a little while. So there is a part of my job that I enjoy, being able to be versatile.
Yeah, because you, so people understand, so the kind of roles or activities within the staff that really report to or through you, I mean, right now, everything that's kind of office management is part of your team and part of your job responsibility. Facilities, I mean, what else? How does that look like? Yeah,
I think it's kind of keeping an eye on what's happening with the facility and making sure those needs are being met. It's being in tune and in touch with what's happening in the office, and then our finances and reporting and our business kind of side of things as well.
So you love that. That's what you love most. What do you like the least about your job at Zumbro? Nervous laugh number 3. Nervous laugh number 3. She doesn't know which of her list to choose from.
I think one part that I enjoy about my job is leaning into some leadership pieces. I really enjoy being a part of things and a part of those conversations. But with that comes conflict. And that sometimes means stepping outside of my box and learning to stay with it.
Do you like making decisions?
Yes. Sometimes yes. Sometimes no. I like when I get to make decisions and everybody says, yes. Great.
And then the conflict of a decision you make that doesn't make everyone happy bothers you.
That's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. So how long have you been here at Zumbro again?
I have been working here at Zumbro since 2019. I started part-time as a director of mission, really focused in that area, and was here through the renovation and kind of the opening of the LSS Resource Center here, and then kind of transitioned into the business manager role early in 2023.
Yeah. So, and how did you end up here? Like, what's the story that got you either to Zumbro or even onto the staff?
Yep. So I started at Zumbro, kind of exploring my faith early in 2015, and I had middle school kids. And I was good friends with Kirsten Lincoln, kind of our lead volunteer for Open Table. And through her and that mission, really, I was welcomed into the doors of Zumbro. Prior to that, I had kind of been on a long kind of spiritual journey. I've been sober now for 28 years. At the time, it was 18 years. And Zumbro welcomed me and gave me an opportunity to come and sit with things that I often found uncomfortable, whether it was communion specifically, or just, the idea of what Christianity is in our culture and in our world. And Zumbro gave me a safe place and was a wonderful welcome to explore those things. And then in June in 2015, for my 40th birthday, I decided to officially be baptized. And I was
that
baptized
is so cool.
Here. Yeah.
I mean, there are very few numbers in the statistic boxes at Lutheran churches that include anything other than a 0 when it comes to adult baptism. I mean, it doesn't happen. Or in Lutheran churches, it doesn't happen. How did that feel? I mean, is that against the grain of whatever tradition you were exposed to as a kid? I mean, as an adult, did that feel, I mean, what was that like?
It did. I mean, I was raised in a humanist tradition, a Unitarian Universalist small congregation up in St. Cloud, Minnesota, that my mother is still very involved with. And I was raised with a certain negative attitude about Christianity. I think my parents had some of their prejudices. And so the journey for me was to really challenge those things. They say sometimes contempt or investigation prior to contempt. And so came in with a willingness to do that investigating and to unpack some of those ideas, and learned that Christianity isn't necessarily the things that you see in our public sphere.
Or at least some forms of Christianity.
Some forms of it,
Let's
correct.
be clear
Yes,
about that, yeah.
Correct. And that there was space for me and that I could belong. And that was part of what was important, because I certainly grew up feeling outside of those things. And Zumbro gave me an opportunity to belong just the way that I was. And there certainly was a fear about how my parents and my family were going to react to that.
And how did they react to it?
I think they accepted it, but they don't participate.
Right.
And that's fine.
That's not your expectation.
No, that's not my expectation.
Yeah.
So it's all fine.
So you said we don't edit this, right? So if I ask a question you don't want to go there, just spin it. But you did mention something about sitting with uncomfortable or difficult things, and I would say that a church like Zumbro, we certainly, we don't just allow, but we almost expect the difficult conversation and the difference of opinion when it comes to theology and church and God. But you said something about communion, which was the more difficult one. I don't know if I've actually asked you that question before. This is the first I heard that, so I'm kind of curious what about that was or still is difficult.
I think for me, communion was kind of the separation line about belonging or not belonging. I grew up in St. Cloud, and it was a largely Catholic and Lutheran community. And I certainly grew up with the notion in my head that I wasn't allowed to participate. And that kind of was the dividing line.
Because those congregations, those churches were saying, to your point, if you're a member, you can. If you're not, you can't.
And if you're unbaptized, you
can't.
And
unbaptized, you can't.
So that was kind of the dividing line for me. So coming and believing the welcome, worrying about people finding out that I wasn't baptized and was I going to be kicked out, and then just nervousness about how to behave in church and how does it work, and what if I drop something, or what if I trip, or what if I spill something. Those were all fears and things that I had to work through.
So just as far as Zumbro is concerned, because that the center of our conversation is you, an employee, a team member at Zumbro Lutheran Church, and I am curious. Again, this gets a little off track maybe of just you and gets a little more churchy stuff, but I am curious about the discomfort in church space that you mentioned as well, because I know, at least I think, that we work hard at making sure everybody can feel welcome regardless of how they're dressed, where they're from, what their background is. But was that always the case for you here? Because often a highly liturgical and kind of a well-oiled machine of worship is the very thing that makes people feel either in or out. Is there anything you want to say about that? And I know I didn't prep you for that question. I'm just kind of following.
I definitely started with the Wednesday evening worship services, which were more relaxed, a little bit more casual. I enjoyed seeing the pastors not in robes, a little bit more casual, feeling like I had something in common with the pastor. It took some time for me to feel comfortable in the more traditional worship service.
Do you think that other people, how about your family, how would they feel if they showed up, if they happened to show up?
Well, that depends on what family member we're inviting.
Okay, we don't need to go there then. That's a whole other podcast. That's something we'll talk about in a whole other kind of therapy session probably, right, with family. Do you have people that you consider family in your world? That doesn't have to be family, but the kind of people you might have Thanksgiving with. What do holidays look like for you as a church person? Because I'm thinking of Christmas and Easter when we're all very busy. So I'm curious about how that part of life looks like for you.
Yep. So from a family perspective, I do have two children. One is 24 and living her best life in LA. And one is 20, a student at University of Colorado Boulder. So I'm empty nester, and I'm also been divorced for about not quite 5 years, 3 years. And so what holidays look like has certainly changed quite a bit.
Yeah, with the empty nesting in particular,
empty
right?
Nesting, yes. So, but I am blessed with a great group of friends here in Rochester. I've been in Rochester for 18 years, so I have some wonderful mom friends that we raised our kids together with. And then Zumbro has been for me a wonderful, just supportive community.
That's cool.
And I actually enjoy working Christmas Eve. It's worked really nice, and figuring out how to balance family time and time with my children is that I get to be here and I get to worship with everybody, and I'm here all day, and I feel useful, and I really enjoy that piece. And then I get to have the following days with my kids. So it kind of works out nice for me.
That's pretty cool. What are your hobbies? Anything like that we don't know about?
Yeah, this is the question that's not that interesting.
It's more interesting than you think. I mean,
Like I said, I've learned that even though I'm an introvert, I'm very much a people person. And so a lot of my free time is spent with my friends. I'm having dinners with my friends, going to movies, watching television. These are things that I really enjoy. I'm not particularly crafty or into any kind of niche thing.
Wait a minute. You're not crafty. Just so you know, Sarah just gave me a hard time about my fancy David Letterman style cards here. And on the inside, my questions are taped. And she just pulled out, you can't even take a hot glue gun and put them together or something.
Or glue stick.
Or glue stick. No, because I'm not crafty either.
That's not a craft.
I know. That's my point. Okay, here's a question that just came to mind, actually. So you've spent time in, I should say, Philadelphia.
Yes.
Because this comes up when we talk about the Minnesota Vikings and you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we're not going to talk about football.
Okay.
But I am interested in your perspective of the subcultures between Philadelphia and anywhere in Minnesota.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
Are people in Minnesota passive-aggressive, whereas the people in Philadelphia are aggressive?
People in Philadelphia tell it like it is.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that's aggressive.
Okay, I'm just asking. That's what, you didn't know what I meant.
It's to the point.
Okay.
They are direct. There's no running around in circles. They get to the point pretty fast.
Yeah. And people in Minnesota?
Sometimes we like to spin around a little bit.
Just
to get to the point before we get to the point.
That's why I use the word aggressive. I didn't want to spin
aggressive.
around a little bit. I know.
It's not aggressive.
No, it is different. Like the two other places we've lived, Las Vegas and then Detroit, the subcultures around the country become very obvious once you've lived there. And Minnesota is, the passive-aggressive language, which I actually hear from a lot of people, I don't think is inaccurate. I know it's not maybe the kindest label you could put on, but I don't think it's culturally inaccurate. I don't know what you think.
I don't think it's inaccurate either. I also don't think that folks in Philadelphia are aggressive.
Right.
So we can use language either way around a subculture that is less than on point.
Although I've seen Philadelphia Eagles fans, and I don't know, they're
like
pretty
to win.
passionate.
They're loyal. They like to win. I don't know what to say. Seems like they do win.
They are. Anything else about you that you think congregation members might be interested in learning about? No?
I enjoy people, and I'm open to conversations, and I enjoy talking. So I enjoy being here on Sundays.
You love being on camera?
No, I do not.
You're just waiting for me to look at my watch and say, time's up, aren't you?
I'm not wishing that clock was on the wall.
No. Well, I have a watch. We're all good. You mentioned recovery.
Yes.
I don't even know what the question is. I know you and I, over the last day or whatever, we talked about this conversation. And you gave me permission, and you already mentioned recovery to make sure this was okay to be on camera. Again, there's no question as much, maybe a comment. I'm hopeful that sometime in the future, Zumbro can be a place that has recovery groups, because it doesn't feel like we have that. I don't officially have that, but is that an important part of your faith journey now? And do you think that would have been more or less helpful in the past? And how important do you think that is for a church to have in there?
I think it's a way of extending welcome. My experience in recovery is certainly foundational to my faith journey. It's kind of where I began. And to learn to be comfortable in church spaces, I think, is important, particularly for folks who may have experienced negative experiences.
Yeah.
And as they work through their program of unpacking some of those things, having the experience of a welcoming church that accepts you where you are is important, very important.
Cool. Well, I think we're going to close, which is how I close. I know you're so thankful. I could see the relief on your face. It's awesome. With and as I tell everybody out there, you already know this, but my favorite interview show was Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton. Mm-hmm. They had conversations, but every interview ended with a questionnaire, an altered questionnaire from a guy named Bernard Pivot. And it's the kind of questionnaire where you give an answer, and I basically can't ask questions or respond or spin it or anything. I just ask, you give your answers, and they are what they are.
Great.
Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Let's go so we can get to the end.
Correct.
Okay, got it. What is your favorite word?
Expeditiously.
And you want me to go through expeditiously?
Please.
Okay. What is your least favorite word?
Flouncy.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Connections with people.
What turns you off?
Conflict with people.
What is your favorite curse word?
I mean, I'm fond of the F word. It kind of rolls off the tongue. I also find be a particularly good insult.
Can you say that one more time? Okay. Lots of bleeps on this one. What sound or noise do you love?
My children's laughter.
What sound or noise do you hate?
The sound of fingernails scratching on something.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Now? Retirement. Grandmotherhood.
What profession would you not like to do?
Garbage.
There's a story about that one today. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You were always loved.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.